Hey guys, what is up? This is Kazi. Welcome to another part of Codecademy. This is going to be part 4. So we're going to start that in just a little bit, but hopefully you guys have had something to eat. Maybe you have a coffee with you right now, because as we get into this, it's going to get a little bit longer, right? So, and you want to be able to sit through it and maybe even go for a little bit longer. So hopefully you feel full and you're not tired, and we'll get going through this thing, all right? And a lot of you, since I'm recording this in August of 2016, a lot of you are probably going to college, so this is a good time to work with courses like these and follow these types of tutorials, so you can also get a head start in your computer science classes, or at least know what's to come if you are going to take a computer science class later on. Sorry, that took way too long. Let's jump right into it. Python, 19%. Boom. Okay, so we're going to break it down. We finally entered the Pyglatin translator. Now, let's take what we have learned so far and write a Pyglatin translator. Great, sounds good. Let's see how Pyglatin works, where you move the first letter of the word to the end and add a. So Python becomes YPython A. So we took this P, we added it to the end, so it became Ython P, and then we added AY to it, okay? So that's what Pyglatin is. So the first thing before you start coding is really make sure you understand in English what they're telling you to do, okay? Because I remember when I was doing this Pyglatin thing a long time ago, I didn't grow up in America, so I didn't know what Pyglatin was. So I started coding right away, and it turned out that I ended up doing some kind of stupid solution that didn't work out at the end, and I ended up wasting my time because I did not understand the problem itself. So half the battle is understanding the problem. So let's go and do, let me give you something like pig, okay? What would you convert it to? If you said it would convert to GIPAY, you're correct. Okay, so once again, I turned it backwards and added AY. Okay, cool. So it sounds simple enough. Let's work through it. So say we have something like, I don't know, I have bananas, right? What I want to be able to do is take that B and put it all the way to the end, right? And then add an AY to whatever it is. So let's say I take that bananas, and again, it's going to be ANANAS B followed by AY, right? So just so we have a written example, maybe we can even put it in our multi-line comment block, or we don't have to be that fancy. We can just use our single line comments just to show us how this program actually works. So they say, step 1, ask the user to input a word in English. So we are going to say user input is equal to raw input, right? And please enter your word here. So raw input, what does it do? It takes out a prompt. It makes your programs really fun, right? It takes out a prompt and it lets the user put in whatever word they want to put in. And whatever word they put in, your variable user input will become that. So I'm going to copy this and I will show you how this actually works. So let me open up Python. I do this thing so I can activate Python 2 because that's what they use, but you don't need to worry about it. If you have a Mac, you can just type in Python. I'm going to do user underscore input is equal to raw input, right? And it tells me please enter your word here. So I'll type in Bobby, right? And now if I look at what user input is, it's going to tell me Bobby. So that makes my programs fun because it waits for the user to type something in and then it runs it. Cool. All right, make sure the user entered a valid word. So we have to make sure that it is a word, right? It's not, they didn't put in something random. So they didn't put in, I don't know, nothing, like just an empty string. Convert the word from English to Pyglatin. Okay, so whatever the user inputs, we're gonna take the first letter and put it all the way at the end. Okay, how would we do that? Well, we can try to do some string slicing. Okay, we can say last letter. Let's first try it in the terminal. Okay, so let's say user input is Bobby, right? I'm not gonna press enter because it's already Bobby. So if I put in user input, you can see it's Bobby. So what do I do now? Okay, let's take the first letter and save it, and we'll call it last letter. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna take user input, and we're gonna take its first spot. Okay, user input's first spot is actually B. Okay. Now, if you look at the last letter, it's going to be telling us what the first spot is. The reason why I'm calling it the last letter is because I'm going to later move it and make it the last letter. Okay, now we want to keep the Abi part, right? O-B-B-Y. So we would like to keep this part. This is something we can do using string slicing in Python. So I can say that give me user input from 0 to 5. If I say 0 to 6, it's gonna still give me all the way up to the end, which is Bobby. If I said give me 0 to 3, you can see that it gives me the first 3 letters. Okay, or if I leave it blank, it actually gives me from 0 all the way to the end. Okay, so what I want to do is I don't want the first letter because I've already saved it. So I'm gonna do 1 and just hit enter here. And you can see that it's showing me O-B-B-Y. That's great. We want this plus the first letter we saved. So we can do last letter. Okay, so now we're getting the first, all of the first letters except for the very first one, and we're getting the first one to be at the end. Now all we need to do is just add an AY at the end. Okay, so I can simply go plus AY. Okay, and they want us to do that in short casing, so we'll do that in short casing. And that's really our algorithm. Now we just need to summarize our steps, and that's our algorithm for Pyglatin. Okay, for those of you who are like, what the heck is this thing that Kazi is using? My name is Kazi, just in case you guys didn't know. I'm using the terminal to run my commands interactively. If you have an idle, you can use an idle. Or you can go to that website I showed you, repl.it, and do all your stuff here. Okay, find Python, go to languages, find Python, and simply do everything that I was doing, but you can do it here. I just like to use the terminal. So we're gonna summarize our steps, right? We said we're gonna save the last letter. So we're gonna say last letter is equal to user input's first letter. And now we're gonna say, let's see what we said here. Pretty much that thing there. So we're gonna say user input. So whatever the user actually input in the start, plus, and we want whatever the user input from 1 all the way to the end, plus last letter. So we're gonna attach on the last letter, plus AY. And we wanna make sure we type in print, and that's it. Convert the word from English to Pyglatin. Okay, double checking. Not sure what they mean by the second step, because we can get pretty advanced in that, but let's just see. Okay, let's cross our fingers, hit save and submit. Let's see what it says. Let's do, what's the example he gave us? Let's do Python, just like this said, right? Python. Beautiful. Next lesson, we did it, guys. Boom. Move on. Ahoy, or should I say ahoy a. Ah, I get it. They're doing some Pyglatin stuff there. Now let's warm up by printing a welcome message for our translator users. Please print the phrase Pyglatin. Okay, so they want us to print the phrase Pyglatin. Where do we? Pyglatin. I'm not sure what they want us to do here. It looks like you printed, please enter your word here. Oh, okay. So in here, they want us to do Pyglatin. Pyglatin. Okay, that's weird, but sure. Input. Next, we need to ask the user for input. So you see they're going to use raw input here. In the above example, raw input accepts a string, prints it, and then waits for the user to type something and press enter, right? So it waits for people. Whenever you do raw input, like if I did raw input here, it waits for a person to type in something, blah, 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 blah. But whatever I just typed got wasted because I didn't use a variable to store it. Now I can never use that information again. It's gone, right? So if I wanted to save that information, I can do x is equal to raw input, and I can type in that same garbage that I typed last time. Now when I type in x, you can see that it's showing me that value. Now whenever I type in x, I'm getting the stuff that the user input. But it's not very intuitive, right? When I run raw input, well, if you use somebody else's program and it was using a line like raw input, and then it let you type in whatever you want, you could just be looking at the screen and going, what the heck does he want me to type, he or she? Well, that's why we put in something in raw input that tells the user what you are expected to type. Okay, so please enter your favorite food, right? Now when you see the value of raw input and you're the user using it, not the person who coded it, right? You're just using this app, or one of your users is using this app that you created, and now they can read it and go, oh, I see what you're saying. Please enter your favorite food. Sure, I'll enter my favorite food. Whatever, right? I love Thai fried rice so much. So I'll type that probably. Cool. In the interpreter, Python will ask blah blah on line 4, use raw input, enter a word to ask the user to enter a word. Save the results of raw input in a variable called original. Okay. We will create a variable like original and use raw input. Enter a word. Boom. Okay, enter a word. Hello. Cool. Check yourself. Wait, how many things do we have here? Okay, cool. All right. Now we need to ensure that the user actually types something. So here they're checking if the length of the string is greater than 0. How that works is length of something gives you what the length of that thing is. So this whole thing turns into a number. And so if the length of a string is greater than 0, well, that's not an empty string anymore. That means the user actually typed in something. So we essentially want to make sure if it's greater than 0. That will tell us that the user typed in something. Okay. Length of nothing is going to give you 0. Okay. So that's why we're going to use an if-else conditional block like this. Now, write an if statement that verifies if the string has characters. Add an if statement that checks if that length of original variable is greater than 0. Don't forget the colon. If the string actually has characters in it, print the user's word. Otherwise, an else statement, please print empty. Cool. Simple enough. Okay? Again, anytime you feel like you want to take on a challenge on your own while you're watching this video, pause the video and try it on your own first, and then watch me do it, because it always looks really easy if I'm doing something, but if you don't know it, then it's going to be really hard. Okay? But practice working on it on your own, and then if you fail, come watch this and pick up things from it. Okay? All right, so if length of original is greater than 0, then print original, else print empty. So I'm used to using Python 3, so you'll always see me putting parentheses around the print, because print is a function. Hello. Cool, start next lesson. Now they want us to check dot is alpha. So this is a function to check if something is, I believe, non-letter characters. So you have to make sure that it's contained, it returns false that it has non-letter characters, okay? So some weird symbols or something. Let's make sure the word user enters contains only alphabetical characters, which means boom, right? So on and so forth. Use and to a second condition. So basically what they want us to do is join these two statements with an and, or these conditions. So this whole thing is called a condition. Okay. Now we're going to use an and to join another condition. So we're going to say dot original is alpha. Okay. Not alpha. And that should be good, right? It looks like your code does not print when original is only made of... Oh, alpha is really for alphabetical characters. So we do want it to be right. Okay, cool. Start next lesson. So here you want to do and original is alpha. Boom. Pop quiz. When you finish one part of your program, it's important to test it. So we are going to write some kind of tests for this. Take some time to test your current code. Try some inputs that should pass and some that should fail. Enter some strings that contain non-alphabetical characters and an empty string. Okay, so we're going to try to test this thing now. I'm going to try something that's not a string. So I'm just going to hit enter. Okay, it said empty. Very smart. I'm going to hit X. I'm going to try it again. I really want to try to break this thing, right? I'm going to do numbers. Hit enter. It said empty. That's wrong. It should not say empty. It should say something like, those were not alphabetical characters, but that's okay for now. Okay, now we can get to start translating Pyglatin. Let's review the rules for translation. You move the first letter of the word to the end and then append the suffix a. Something that I realized a little while ago, I went ahead of myself and solved the entire Pyglatin. I think that we were not supposed to do that till later, because I was wondering, I'm like, they didn't even show you guys raw input, so but it's okay because you guys are ahead of the curve now. No worries, we'll keep going. All right, so we know the rules. We discussed it in detail. Let's create a variable to hold our translation suffix. Create a variable named pyg and set it equal to the suffix ay. Variable named pyg with suffix ay. Okay. Word up. Let's simplify things by making the letters in our word lowercase. So we're going to first take the thing and we're going to make it lowercase. So we're going to go original is equal to original.lore, okay? So essentially we just make it lore. Or how I like to do it is .lore right there as soon as we get it. Much better. All right, you can see first letter, second letter, third letter, so on and so forth. Creates a variable called word that holds the lowercase conversion of original. So effectively what that does is if somebody puts in something in all caps, it's going to turn everything into small letters. Create a new variable called first that holds word of 0, the first letter word. So you can see how I did it earlier. They're now doing it pretty much the same way. So we're going to go. Oh, okay. Even though I like to do it like this, I cannot because they want me to create a variable called word. So word is just original, but lowercase, and first is word's first letter. So we're saving that first letter because we want to move it all the way to the end. Cool. Save and submit. Start next lesson. Now that we have the first letter stored, we need to add both the letter and the string stored in PYG to the end of the original string. Remember how to concatenate strings together? Basically, it's adding strings together, okay? Concatenate is a big word. All it means is string plus another string. That's it. They're showing an example, greeting name, greeting plus name. That would give you hello dy. Okay, so on a new line, after you created the first variable, create a new variable called new word and set it equal to the concatenation of first of word, first, and PYG. Okay, so let's go here because I want it to check our if thing is the word. So we're going to create a new word, and it's basically concatenation of word plus first plus PYG. This should not be the whole thing, but let's give it a try. Cool. All right, well done. Now we have the first letter showing up both at the beginning and near the end. That's great. But the problem is it's showing up both at the beginning and near the end. We only wanted to show near the end, not the beginning, right? That's not the part we care about. Cool. First, we create a variable s and give it the string Charlie. All right. Okay, let's do that. Next, we use the first letter of Charlie. Okay, so they created, they're just showing you here. I don't think I need to actually write it down. So they created Charlie. They used s of 0 to get the first letter of Charlie, that's C right there. And then they use 1 through 4 to effectively get HAR of Charlie, okay? Set new word equal to the slice from the first index all the way to the end of new word. Use 1 colon len of new word to do this. Cool. Set new word equal to the slice from the first index all the way. Use. So what they want us to do is do this. Okay, so new word is now equal to 1 len new. Okay. Okay, len of new word is just a trick that they're using, which is to get the length of the actual word. So however long new word is, len of new word will essentially get that number. So if it's 4 letters combined with AY, it turns into 6. Now len of new word is going to give you 6. So this whole thing will turn into 1:6. Okay. Your code did not run to end. See the console window for the message. What is the error? Syntax error. That's weird. Where is the syntax error? I do not see it. I'm pretty sure the colon is fine. There is no syntax error here. What? Okay, let me try this line in my terminal. Interesting. Syntax error. What is going on here? Oh, I'm being silly. Okay, you have to index a existing thing, right? Like you can't just index nothing. So you can't just do 1:4. That doesn't make sense. You have to do 1:4 of, let's say, this word, and now that'll equal to something like YTH, right? 4 means up to but not including, so it's actually up until 3. So we have to actually index new word. The reason why I keep these is so you can see that people can make mistakes, right? I can easily edit this part out, but I will not, because a lot of us go through this thinking process, and I don't want you to think that I'm some kind of like immortal being, right? Just because I have a little bit of head start than you might have in computer programming. So we all go through some silly mistakes, even programmers and professional software developers. So it's okay to just be like, okay, I made a mistake, moving on. It's not a big deal. Okay, hello. Cool. Easy. Testing. Is this thing on? So I think after this, I'm going to end this part of the tutorial because Pyglatin is going to be over, and we'll start the next part. Yeah, you should have a fully functioning Pyglatin translator. Test your code thoroughly to be sure everything is working smoothly. You'll also want to make sure any print statements you were using to help debug, now might be a good time to add some comments too. Make sure your code is clean, commented, and fully functional. It's just as important as writing it in the first place. Okay, so we have this A thing that we add at the end right there, PYG. We put the first letter right before the AY, which is how we're supposed to do it. We put that word there, and then effectively on line 13, what we're doing is we're just removing the first letter. That's all that we're doing. There's nothing special about that line. There's not some other brilliant stuff that we're doing. So if I gave you new word, if I said it's equal to, like, let's say Y, what was it? Y, I think it was like Ython P AY, right? Except our new word is like this after line 12. So what our line 14 does is essentially now, right, let me comment this out. Now new word is equal. So it's essentially Y. Okay, that's what it does. It says take this word, start from the letter 1, position 1, and go all the way to the end. That's it. Typing in len new word here is the same thing as not typing in anything here, which is a lot easier, but they just, I don't know, want to be fancy or something. But cool. Let's type in Python, and we should get back. Okay, we never typed in a print statement, but if we did, new word would be Python. Let's just do it just in case. Print new word, right? What's the point of writing our program when it doesn't even print anything? So we want to make sure that we see that beautiful thing printed. Beautiful. Hit next. we are done with that section. We are on to functions. Congratulations for everybody that made it here. Any questions, comments, concerns, put it down in the YouTube section below, or if you're seeing this video on my website, Clever Programmer, make sure you comment down there below. So yeah, feel free to ask any questions. Other than that, I will see you in Codecademy Part 5. Take care and have a wonderful day.